We helped from Montreal support the development of Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3, and when that team that was driving the first 3 games was kind of ready for a change, we took over, they passed the baton, and we took it on with Mass Effect Andromeda. So for me it was, we're being handed something that is very precious to BioWare. It's the thing that we're going to use to determine what BioWare Montreal stands for. Is it a real BioWare studio?
Andromeda Initiative Habitat 1, designated ES.
Welcome to part 2 of GameSpot's look at the story of Mass Effect Andromeda. In part 1, we looked at the impact of the original trilogy and the furore surrounding Mass Effect 3's ending. But for part 2, we're setting our sights on the future. After a 5-year break, BioWare is charting a new course for Mass Effect, moving on from the Milky Way and traveling thousands of light years away to the Andromeda Galaxy. Just days before its launch, BioWare attended PAX East in Boston, and for this episode we talked to them about returning to the series, their vision for a new journey, and the challenges they faced helming the new Mass Effect. Andromeda is a game about venturing into the unknown and exploring the unfamiliar to find a new beginning, themes that hit home for the people making the game. Its development team is a mixture of series veterans and newcomers that joined BioWare as fans. Both bring something different to Andromeda. For veterans, Andromeda is an opportunity to move beyond Mass Effect's past, to realize unfulfilled ambitions, and to make good on ideas that they weren't quite able to achieve with the original trilogy.
Myself and a lot of the Mass Effect team actually moved on to work on BioWare's new IP at the time, and there wasn't a for sure that we were going to do another Mass Effect. After a while, even though I'm working on this new IP, it's very exciting, you do have that nagging, it's like, wow, you know, we never really got to do this, you know, look at the Mako, it's just like, we tried in Mass Effect 2 to improve it, we didn't quite get it there, and then we just said, no, we're going to give up.
We didn't have to release another Mass Effect game, right? We did it because we think that people would love it, and that we wanted to. So, being able to kind of be free of that at the very beginning, from the ground up, and build this thing, and conceptualize and ideate on where and when and how, that was liberating for sure. We weren't tied into any previous sequels. We didn't have anything that we had to do. We were able to start fresh.
The heart of the franchise actually helped move forward and say, yo, Mass Effect is about looking forward. And then it's a balance, right? You have veterans guys like Mike Walters, Mike Gamble, myself. You got several people, and then the new guys, completely new, which also brings their own perspective, saying, well, hang on, I played the entire trilogy, so I work on 3 again. So they played actually the entire trilogy as players, and they say, well, the thing I remember is the Mako. It was clumsy, it was all that, but man, I have fond memories of the Mako. And suddenly for people like us, more able to say, well, okay, we thought it was clumsy, maybe we should think about it. Yeah.
While BioWare's old guard ensures Andromeda feels like Mass Effect, it's the new blood that is attempting to redefine the series' identity. For these fans turned developers, Andromeda represents a blank canvas, an opportunity to take what they loved about the series and build a new future upon it.
So, well, when I initially got the call, it was, hey, would you be interested in being a lead designer on Mass Effect? And of course I thought they were joking. Partially because it was me, but also partially because the franchise, as you say, it was like, it was ended. It was this nice solid thing. I was surprised that they were going to do another one, at least in this time frame. So when I interviewed, I talked to them a lot about the narrative premise of the game. What was the setup? What were we going to do?
Each bold leap forward was achieved by those willing to do anything to attain it. We are, all of us, leaving behind families, homes, the very birthplace of our species.
And as soon as I realized what we are now doing as the setup, it's like, okay, this is definitely a way to let us have something that feels like Mass Effect, is Mass Effect, has lots of carryover, but doesn't require us to handle the 50 billion choices you may have made over the trilogy. So it can be new, but also carry over the old. It's like, okay, I can see that working, I'll do that.
When we were offered the opportunity to come work with BioWare, on a Mass Effect. I say we because my husband is the lead level designer, so this was both of us coming here of, you know, dream jobs. There was this moment like, yes, we're going, we're gonna do this. Oh my God, what have we done? Like, oh, this is, you know, it's really incredible to be part of it.
Well, that's something you don't see back home.
Often it was very overwhelming and intimidating, but at the same time with the talent we have, it's, you know, letting the team also kind of take the reins and go. Now there was course correcting involved, but it's overall they let us not only become part of the team, but help you know, recreate even what we're doing right now.
I think I speak for most people when I say that I feel like an imposter all the time. Like, oh my God, what if they find out that I'm actually not as good as everybody else here? But you keep working with the team. It's all about the teamwork. That journey for me has been surreal. As I said, I've wanted to get into it since I was a kid. So getting a chance to actually squeak in the door and work in QA was humbling, and then working really hard to get each of the additional opportunities that popped up, and then learning on the job. And even like my transition onto Mass Effect, it was a new journey for me, and I think it kind of resonates in terms of the game itself. It's all about exploration and discovery. Almost every single role that I take on is about exploration and discovering and trying something new.
When I first came to BioWare, I actually worked on SWTOR. I actually wanted to make the move, so I was working on SWTOR, and I just loved the Mass Effect franchise so much that I wanted to be on it, and so I actually applied. From inside the company, I applied to Mac Walters and said, please, I want to be a writer on ME3.
Many hadn't even worked on a BioWare game, but they were fans of the franchise. So they had only ever seen Mass Effect as a player. And they'd come in and that's how they sort of envisioned the world. And so they were able to bring like a whole new kind of passion, but a whole new perspective to the world building and to how we wanted to build this game out. It was great because, you know, like I said, we wanted to look forward, we wanted to sort of keep an eye on the future, but at the same time I had these people, you know, that are ardent fans, and they would very much let me know, you know, it's like, I feel like maybe we're drifting too far away from what Mass Effect should be, and we'd have a discussion about it. And I think that really helped sort of, you know, help us find that sort of, that fine line between something very fresh and very new, but also very clearly Mass Effect.
And when the level designer who previously built the Normandy for the trilogy shifted projects, like, Jess, do you want to do the Tempest? And I'm like, yes, I think so. You know, try to live up to what the Normandy is, you know, for fans, myself. So being given that opportunity was just absolutely incredible to be involved in all of that. And then partially along the way, started also leading what we call the space team, which is pretty much where we redesigned the galaxy map. So we took, you know, at the core of what the galaxy map was in terms of, you know, the user experience, but then what we wanted to make it this beautiful, immersive player experience that reinforced the narrative of Ryder as the Pathfinder.
Anomaly on sensors.
It's been most interesting to see the sort of new take on this exploration content that we have never had to build before, and how we can craft quests that are fulfilling and interesting, with interesting characters and people, and populate those worlds.
Welcome to my team. I look forward to working with you.
Likewise.
In terms of the team, it's been a really good balance between people who worked on the last ones and people who are bringing sort of new energy to the franchise.
BioWare is hoping that by bringing these two perspectives together under one roof, Mass Effect Andromeda can break new ground, while also staying true to the spirit of the series. And for me, the spirit of Mass Effect has always been its characters. While saving the galaxy from the Reaper threat is what drives you forward, it's the bonds you form with your compatriots that makes that struggle worthwhile. Mass Effect's characters are what turn that passion for the series into an obsession. They have the ability to push past virtual barriers, to move beyond the screen and ingrain themselves on the lives of fans, whether that's through cosplay, tattoos, or naming children after them. But BioWare believes that if Mass Effect is to live on, it can only do so through reinvention, And while it's able to lean on series foundations such as planet exploration, role-playing systems, and kinetic combat for gameplay, creating new characters that resonate with the fanbase is undoubtedly its greatest challenge. It's no wonder then that returning to the series has sparked trepidation and excitement in equal measure. The legacy and cultural impact of Mass Effect looms over Andromeda, and no one is more aware of what's at stake than its developers.
Sometimes it does dawn on me. It's a big responsibility, and then I try really hard not to think about it. Sometimes I drink, and eventually you can get past it and then completely forget.
Coffee, liquor, like pastries, I don't know.
When you play Mass Effect 3, you've had 3 games with Garrus, and you're like, yeah, I went through so many things with Garrus. Garrus is my buddy. But back in Mass Effect 1, Garrus was like a random Tyrian, right? So we understood the hardships of being able to have to build those characters up from the ground again, because they're all new characters, right?
How do we create a protagonist that feels unique and different from Shepard?
Deep breaths. You're gonna want to take it easy. I've been taking it easy for 600 years.
And how do we create a universe that feels like it's Mass Effect, but at the same time explores different themes and allows us to try new things? And that's where, going to Andromeda, I think, really sort of set the stage for that.
The problem is, again, you come after 3 games, and everybody will have that level of expectation because those 3 games are a single experience. And this is a very important point. People remember a single experience, not necessarily 3 different games. So suddenly the level of the experience you're going to provide has to be in a way at that level that took 3 games to make. Yes, you have the weight of the legacy, and as you say, I had also a fan relationship, or so a more emotional relationship that is not necessarily on the development side. You don't want to be the guy who screwed up Mass Effect, obviously. That's kind of, yeah, sure, I don't want that. But at the same time, you need to put that away fairly quickly. The important was to place the pillars. The blend between action and RPG, the importance of the character relationship, the role of space and the notion of space opera, the place of humanity, all that. That will never change in any story you tell in Mass Effect. There's no reason to do that. That's Mass Effect. But again, it was obvious that there was way more story to tell.
So you want to evolve. Revolutions, be careful, right? Like it needs to be an evolution. At the same time, as much as I still love, the first trilogy, if you go back, especially to the first one, it's quite clunky, right? So you need to make sure that even though you're staying true to that formula, that it's a game that plays good today. Again, we're not building it in the same way where we know it's a trilogy, but we know that we're planting the seeds for something that we want to keep building upon in the future. So it needs to be a formula that, as we're refreshing it, we believe will stand the test of time and is something that we can keep build upon.
I guess the major challenge in creating these new characters fresh is that I couldn't hear them yet. So that when I was writing Shepard, I could hear Jennifer Hale, Mark Meer in my head as I'm writing. I knew who they were, I knew what they sounded like. But Liam and Gil and Suvi and Callow, now I know, but when we started, I didn't. And so that's a challenge for sure.
Oh, hey, Pathfinder. The Pathfinder's there? Let me say hi. Fine, but don't embarrass me. Ryder, this is Sid, my sister. Sid, Ryder.
Let me guess. Little sister?
Who are you calling little? Look, kiddo, gotta go. Wait, Ryder, I just wanted to know if...
Taking it on from the previous Mass Effect team and trying to learn on the job is definitely tricky. But at least our development schedule, while sometimes hectic, has allowed us the room to make mistakes and fail and then learn in failure. And I think we've embraced that a lot as a studio, which is quite nice. It's essentially learning the soul that is Mass Effect and trying to make sure that the game hits that note first and then grows on it in new and interesting ways.
We have a wonderful, IP and lore, and it would have been silly for us to be like, no, we're rewriting everything as we move, to Andromeda. No, there's a core foundation for a reason. We're going to take it, build upon it, and it really drove us to make a lot of the decisions in what we were doing.
When BioWare launched the first Mass Effect, it did so with the message that it was the beginning of a trilogy. The move showed confidence in its ambition and a dedication to its vision. The future for Andromeda, however, is less definitive. It's been pitched as a game that stands as a self-contained experience, neither connected to the series' past nor outwardly motioning to a future. From the outside, the reluctance to commit to the series again feels like BioWare's way of saying that, although it sees a future in Mass Effect, it may first have to overcome some growing pains. In many ways, Andromeda is trying to be the game Mass Effect was in 2007. BioWare Montreal is returning to the original vision for the franchise, emphasizing exploration, character interactions, and making the player a stranger in a strange world once again. Whether or not Mass Effect has found its new beginning remains to be seen, but BioWare Montreal is confident that its 5-year struggle has been worth it. While the studio may be being coy about the future of Mass Effect beyond Andromeda, beneath the surface, that same ambition simmers.
There's a lot of stories to tell, so what I hope is that we actually keep telling stories, and that we also actually keep staying a true science fiction franchise in the sense that we're grounded with the world around us, and that we keep telling stories where people can relate.
I want to see more of these characters. Can I do more with these characters? Can I continue with these people? I want people to be hungry for more, whether it's more of Ryder or more of the crew, the squad. If you come away with this and you're like, okay, more, give me more, I need to see more of these characters, then I'll be very happy.
So we've spent a lot of energy and a lot of effort literally just rebuilding the universe so that we could portray it here, plus bringing forward all these new things. And now that we finally got it to that stage, it's like, okay, now we can really play. So we've introduced crafting, we've introduced exploration and vehicles again. How deep can we take all those elements and really improve upon them so that, you know, your next Mass Effects are even more immersive?
The thing with game development is that for so long, it's about faith. Because for so long, you don't see the end. Now they have time to sit back and play the game, and you can see the smile on the studio say, we built that? I never wanted to have a studio with a BioWare name on the door. I wanted to have a BioWare studio, and I feel that with the release of Mass Effect Andromeda, we now have a BioWare studio.
Huh?